All right. Let's move on to NCEP question.
Okay.
And with the new NCEP process, it's pretty hopeless to get a transfer out of my poorly staffed center. Do you have any plans to help someone like myself with over 10 years CPC experience to transfer? I know during your campaign you had some ideas. What are you doing to help someone like myself transfer?
Well, number one is most centers now New York Center and Albuquerque Center are the ones that still have to keep an eye on, ensure we're talking about different ways to funnel persons to those facilities right now. For the first time ever, and I just don't know what facility they're out of unless they stated it in there, John, of New York Center. We have 19 people pre-select New York Center to go there out of the academy because of the changes that we made. But yes, bringing back the ability to swap, that is one of the things that was recommended that the team's working at. They've been, since we implemented and signed the CRWG numbers into existence, which was one to protect the workforce from any changes to the overall staffing number under the administration or with the Transportation Review Board's findings where they looked at it independently and they actually agreed with finance that, yeah, we could lose 1,700 controllers and we would be fine, which means 1,700 would be eligible to move if they tried to enact that because of the MOU that we signed with them. All that to be said is the number one way in the en route facilities is via the swap process and bringing that back, which the team is looking at and finding ways to do like type facility swaps. The second part is most of the facilities are starting to project. We looked at the training health inside of them in the next 12 months to 18 months, I would say, for the most part. Again, I don't know what facility you're from, that they'll be released. And on the last NCEP panel, with using the ETT, it was the most en route selections and releases, I think, in the last 5 to 6 years of NCEP alone as well. And again, that doesn't fix everybody's individual problem. Those are progresses being made. And if there are ideas that are out there or things that you don't think that we're looking at, by all means, type them in. Offer suggestions on it as well of en route facilities. And for most of you, well, I would say all of our en route, but also keep in mind Article 124 applies to our 10, 11, and 12 facilities of 15 years. So let's say it becomes completely hopeless. The government shutdown happens. The academy shuts down. Problems are exacerbated and going from there. Ultimately, having that and still having a contract right now is the protections of Article 124. We're at 15-year CPC. You can move to any in-grade or downgrade from there as well. So those, if there's something more specific in mind, by all means, let me know. But it's being worked on, and it's a standing agenda item for this NEB to continue talking about the CRWG recommendations, the work that's being done, and staying on top of it so there's more flexibility in the moves out there. And look at that, Omar on the NCEP team text me, don't forget about Article 124. So thank you all for those looking out.
All right. And there's some CRWG questions in here, so I'll just grab one and then maybe a couple more depending on how it goes here.
Okay.
But this one says, been stuck at a level 6 up down for 10 years fighting for a transfer. With CRWG implementation, we just got pushed another 3 or 4 years before someone can transfer again. Not only am I making less than 100K for 10 plus years, there's no hope to leave. What's the answer?
There is no easy answer to the situation that we're in. I wish there were all easy answers, but at the same time, did it say a 6 up down?
Correct.
Yeah, that's so our up downs, and I was literally talking to the team today about this, of finding ways for those facilities that have a longer training process and our up downs. We're going to have a decision point here soon. And again, the answer isn't simple, but let me hit a couple different points, and I'm happy to continue talking about it, or if you want to raise your hand and clarifying on it from there. Is one, the filling of the system, all right, is where we know 2,200 hired trainees today will result in approximately 2.5 years to about 1,000 CPCs. Then we have to overcome attrition. And in the next 3 years is really the chance to overcome the attrition, because not as many people retire in the next 3 years. And then we know it ramps pretty heavy. And that's why the long-term commitment to the hiring and training has to continue. So with that being said, as we fill up, one goal's been, okay, let's bring people in, as many people as we can get to the 8s and 9s, so 8s and 9s can get unstuck. Came up with the IQTR process. That's only going to need for about a year to 18 months at the long end, maybe 2, but through transfers, and we're working on a different way to transfer through for 9s and below. And what I talked about some in the campaign, as well as an ability to be able to go to these places of 9s and belows where you get replaced out of the academy. It's being discussed. I don't want to sell any snake oil to the members out there and saying we already have an agreement on it. But conceptually, we continue to talk about, just like in the military, if I'm getting orders somewhere, somebody gets orders to fill in behind me, because there are many facilities that are out there that aren't going to be chose. They're not a desirable location. And I'm sure you may be in one, or they know who they are for one reason or another. I mean, just go to Bismarck, North Dakota and talk to the controllers there. And most people don't choose Bismarck, North Dakota, or at all. Some family situations have kept them there, or they're looking for their way out as well. We need to find a way to ensure that those who are in a facility like that, one like yourself of 10 years, that the system can replace if you're wanting to go to these facilities of need, or number 2, you can go out and be able to look at how to release people into the system where we haven't had a release out of that facility in quite some time, especially for those numbers that have changed. And that's one of the CRWG recommendations that the team is reviewing, is how do we have where, let's say your facility number went up by 8, but where you want to go move from today and the facility you want to go to is of even greater need, or has a larger gap to overcome in the training health of that facility, is how do we put the facility in, not staying in constant 6-day work weeks, balancing, but you could still leave because they could have done without you in the past, and working through that angle from there is, how do we put you in a different facility than the one you're currently in, even though you haven't reached the 85%. And the ETT was an introduction of that, but it needs to continue being expanded upon. So through keeping the focus on, don't shut down the academy, don't shut down the government so the academy can keep going, placing and looking at the distribution of those going into the system, opening the opportunities that you don't just get released on an NCEP panel only. I think all of those things working in conjunction will give our members more of the hope that they're looking for, because the goal is to, if you want to go to a higher level facility, that you absolutely have the chance to. I know the Shangri-La world is, I go to the facility I want to, when I want to, and on the day that I want to. That being the ultimate desire, I think being the thing that we know, likely not the possibility, but should always be the goal and what we're angling towards. So many things in the works, nothing solidified besides the protections of the CRWG, all your facility numbers not being cut in half, and the otherwise, where that may make a few happy to say I get to finally leave this facility, that facility being stuck and then left with half their staffing not being the realities of it either. So all that to be said, I think we will see the number of facilities that are in the position where you've been stuck for 10 years, not seeing any hope. I guess this is the point I really want to accent, is I know that's what our membership is looking for and going out and talk to them right now is, can you show me when these numbers turn over? Because I'm not seeing it yet. Where in some of the en-route facilities, like, man, we got 81 trainees here, and they're still feeling like, is it going to come to fruition that I can leave, even though we have 81 trainees, because they have such a large pool, and through the attrition is having those people in your building starts to actually change the dynamics of it. We have so many that are upside down. I know that's going to take time, but it's not lost on us. And I would say for the first time in a long time, the agency is open to changing the way that they've done it in the past, and NCEP just being the name and ultimately getting an entire facelift, and that's the transition that we're going through.